I definitely wanted to give you a good idea of like the characters I play and how my proficiency at them. I mainly am wanting to focus on DPS though.
Why DPS?
Um, I don't know. I'm an FPS player at heart, and I guess, and I don't know. I just find satisfaction in the DPS role, just securing kills and doing damage, and it's also more challenging in my opinion.
Sure.
Um, and then I mean, I have maybe half as much hours in the other roles, and well now I'm diamond across all roles, and I haven't been. I was gonna update the form last night, but yeah, I don't know. I find more satisfaction in the DPS role. I like the characters a bit more. Um, when I first started playing the game, I really gravitated towards May once I unlocked her, and
Interesting.
I was having a lot of fun with her. And then
Yeah, I mean that's the
yeah,
first thing that stood out to me in your your forum. I was like, May hit scan.
yeah, I know, right?
Really interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
that's an interesting
Um,
one. So talk to me about your May history then. Well, first off, how long you
um,
been playing Overwatch? Period.
so I am an Overwatch 2 person. I've never played Overwatch 1.
Got it.
I started playing Overwatch
How
when
did you
Overwatch
find out
2.
about the game? What got you into the game initially? I guess.
My
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, my friends played Overwatch 1, and when Overwatch 2 came out, they were like, "Hey, it's free to play now. Do you want to play
Right.
it with us?" And I was like, "I don't want to play Overwatch. That game is cringe. No, I don't want to play it. Dumb." I played it with them for about a week and fell in love with the game. I used to play a ton of Apex. I have like 3,600 hours in Apex, and I've completely dropped that game for Overwatch.
Okay. Okay. Why? What did you like better? Is it can you put your finger on it, or is it just hard?
I it's a new game. Well, the main reason why I was like I'm gonna full commit to Overwatch was because I that 3,600 hours on Apex is all on controller, and I have
Yeah.
a PC, and I wanted to start getting better with a mouse and keyboard, and I felt like Overwatch was simple enough of a game, not a ton of buttons to have to press, that I could
Yep.
learn the mechanics and pick it up, and I just never stopped playing it.
So, talk to me about your hero pool. How did you find those heroes? How did you develop your skill? Have you tried all
Uh-huh.
the heroes, and those are just the ones you enjoyed the most? Like, I kind of want to break this all
I've
down.
tried almost all heroes. The reason May stood out to me was I like that she's so versatile with a really strong long range option, really strong close range option. I like how creative you can get with walls. I like the self sustainability of it. My biggest issue when I first started playing the game was that I hated that I had to rely on someone else to heal me. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't used to that. So
Mm-hmm.
I was playing characters like Reaper, May, characters that kind of had a little bit more self-sustain or get
Yeah.
out of jail free card kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. And obviously, you've I'm sure benefited from the whole heal passive introduced after the fact as well. Now,
Yes.
tank wise,
Hmm.
I'm seeing Hog and Zarya occasionally. So
Yeah.
what was your kind of logic with like how much tanking experimentation have you done, and why did you settle on those two characters when you do play?
I've played quite a I've played a little bit of tank. I like so the reason I even played Roadhog to begin with was I when I first started playing Overwatch, I was like, who's this giant character who keeps one-shotting me? This is dumb. I hate this
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
After the when he was bad right before the rework, I actually started to play him because it was more fun because he was bad.
yeah.
And then I started watching Six a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I just thought it was super impressive, like hooking people around corners and body blocking them and all that kind of stuff. I kind of saw the skill in that, but I'm more of a Zarya. I honestly, so I was gonna update the forum. I play way more Zarya. I'm, I always say it, I say it to my friends. I'm best Zarya in the world. I have like a 70% win loss on Zarya.
Why do you think that
Um,
is? And why do you enjoy Zarya so much?
all the tanks right now are basically just a big punching bag, and the whole point of Zarya is to get shot. And I
Right.
kind of like the idea of like almost outplaying them or tricking them into shooting you and then gaining charge off
Yeah,
that and
yeah.
benefiting from it. So
So it does seem like
yeah.
that, at least with Zarya and Mei, there's like a sort of a attractiveness for you with like the strategy and thinking your way out of problems almost.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Okay, makes sense. Is that something that like lines up with your Apex background as well?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I liked the right because Apex, if you want to win the game, it's more of positioning, how you rotate around other players, how you fight in like the way you're moving in the fight, how much damage you're doing to certain. Yeah, I like the rotations, rotating around teams, going through teams, finding how to get around the map without dying.
Okay,
That was my thing. I was always like shot calling whenever we played Apex or
right.
IGLing.
So you describe yourself as maybe a world class genius,
No.
and then well, I mean, well, okay, and then you play Moira.
Yeah. So Moira's kind of my guilty pleasure character for sure because I don't have to think. I can just log on to Moira and play her and get value just by existing. Also, when I first started playing, I was like, wow, this character's easy. I just can drop 40 kills and no deaths, and nobody even does anything. Because I was like, in the silver plat lobbies
Yep.
or silver gold lobbies. I would say my favorite, like when I'm actually taking the game seriously for support, would either be BAP or Kiriko.
Okay. Okay. Why the adjustment there?
Mm, when the game first came out, I really loved Kiriko. In fact, that's who I started playing ranked with was Kiriko because I like the idea of like a high skill kunai, hit a lot of headshots. I mainly just DPS Kiriko the whole time. And then I like BAP. I watched ML7 play BAP, and it is the cleanest BAP I've ever seen in my life. It just looks so impressive that I just wanted to do that. That's where BAP came from.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. So now you're here,
Yeah.
and you talked about you've gotten coaching before, and now you feel like you've kind of plateaued in like, what do I do?
Hmm.
I hope to elevate my game to the next level by improving my decision making and identifying the other areas that need help. Elaborate. What are your goals long term in the game? I know the form has the form
Hmm.
thing, right? Well, actually, the form has a lot. Maybe I should actually skim through this here. So,
Yeah, I
short
know.
term goals to break out of the slump, hit masters, hit GM, top 500 long term. It's been 5 seasons now with no improvement, and I've ended Diamond 5. What's the deal?
Yeah. Well, now I'm a little bit confused with my goals because my goals were to hit GM, but then I look at the top 500 leaderboard, and like Masters 2 is top 500 at this point, or I guess not anymore. Here, let me pull it up. At the very end. Oh, now it's all GM5. So
Okay.
I still want to hit Masters. I want to just break out of that slump. That's my short-term goal. I want to eventually touch Masters. And then I would like to hit that GM top 500 level in, maybe 5, 6 seasons ish. However long it takes. I know that like as you progress in the skill level, it takes longer and longer to kind of reach the next level.
Right.
So that's kind of my
Okay.
intention. I just want to, I don't know, I really like this game and I want to be one of those really good players. I also remember when the devs released like the player, I don't remember how to say it, like the skill across all or the players across all the ranks, and they said that like no Overwatch 1 or Overwatch 2 only players were in top 500, and I wanted to be one of those first
Sure.
Overwatch
I
2
respect it.
players in top 500.
I respect it. Good luck. Good luck then. Where are you at right
Yeah.
now in terms of rank?
So currently, tank Diamond 5, DPS Diamond 4. I had a pretty rough loss streak last time I played, and then support and Plat 1 right now. My season high on damage though is Diamond 2.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm mainly focusing on damage.
Okay. Okay. And what's your plan long term with rank? Because obviously you play a lot. I'm sitting here around 20, 25 hours per week. What's the
Hmm.
breakdown? What's your plan long term in terms of improvement?
So I work 4 days a week for 10-hour shifts, and then at the end of the day, I come home usually pretty late, and I'll play like 2 hours a day. But then on my 3 days off, I'm usually just hard grinding,
Okay.
video games in general. I like do my chores the first day, grind really hard the next day, and then I play golf and then play more games in the afternoon. So that's
Okay.
kind of my week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I would like you, in the meantime, to make sure that you're schedule is reflecting your priority on ranking up with what characters. So if the DPS is we want to get the DPS to masters, okay, then I want to see DPS being around 70 to 80% of the amount of time that you're playing the game. Seriously.
Okay. Yeah.
And the way that I generally structure training is I like, depending on how much sleep you're getting, depending on how stressful your work is, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours of specific training per day.
Okay.
And then anything beyond that is just playing for fun, in which case you could do whatever you want. So that might look like 2 to 3 hours of DPS training on Mei, Soldier, Cass, whatever your hero pool is. Then after that, you have a couple hours you want to play. I would encourage you to play something other than your DPS heroes.
Okay.
Whether it's your tank and support. And if you play in ranked, if you play in quick play, I actually don't care. It might be better to play quick play just to take some of the pressure off, but I do want you to just be playing for fun. I want it to be no pressure. I want there to be a very clear contrast between training time, fun time. Training time, fun time. Do not bleed the two into each other. Don't build habits in one or build bad habits in the other. Your job is to work really hard. Be disciplined with how you approach that. At least according to your form here, that shouldn't be too bad with your work background. And military instructor on a cargo aircraft. Interesting. How it must have been an interesting job.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Interesting. I'm sure there's there's a big story behind that, but sadly we'll have to move on. Okay. I learned playing Overwatch with the intention of learning to play first-person shooter games on a mouse and keyboard, and I've been told that I do have above average aim, but personally I feel like I have diamond level aim. Okay. I've achieved the highest rank in Apex Legend. Okay. It feels with Overwatch though, it feels very easy for me to fall apart mentally. Now you also even mentioned recently that you've had a bit of a loss streak recently. Now, everyone goes through loss streaks. I think that's not even like a mental collapse. It's more of just a bit of the RNG of the matchmaker, and not everyone is perfectly consistent with their playtime. So what's happened?
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Like I'll hit like a new peak, and then as soon as I hit that peak, for whatever reason, I'll lose like, let's say 2 games, and I'll blame them on whatever reason, whether it be me or not. And then out of nowhere, I'll go like 10 and 15 the next game. And then I'm just mad at myself. And I know I need to make that up. That's 3 whole games I got to make up to get just back to where I was. And then it just snowballs. I have this like really bad snowballing problem where I just lose all, like the second I do bad and it's my fault we lost, I just can't get it together. The next game is going to be just as bad, and it just keeps getting worse and worse from there.
So you've taught before, you've been an instructor before.
Yeah.
And you've probably dealt with situations that reflect this similarly in real life. If you were looking at this from a third-person perspective, at your pathetic, puny self, what would you tell yourself?
Well, like, yeah, don't worry about it. That's
Why?
in the past.
No, wait a second. Why should you not worry about it? Because clearly you've lost games, and as you said, it's going to take you time to get back, right?
No, yeah. This is just part of the process.
Okay.
Of learning and getting better.
Why is it part of the process?
Well, I mean, you can't win every single game you play.
Right. But you're specifically talking about like these loss streaks, right? Where things get really out of control.
Yeah. I don't know what I'd say. Yeah. Because what I'd usually just say is, hey, you messed up. Don't worry about it. Let's move on for the day. Don't even, right? We've already fixed it. It's not going to be a problem in the future. So let's move on with our day and not.
But it's clearly going to be a problem in the future, isn't it? It's going
to keep coming back. Yeah, exactly.
It's going to keep coming back. So we have a bit of a quandary here. And I think that this is kind of where you need to consider like my approach, because right now the way that you're looking at this is that I'm digging myself a hole every single time I make this mistake, and it's frustrating you immensely. And unsurprisingly so, right? I mean, it would frustrate me as well. So my question for you then is, okay, so then how are you going to change the way that you approach this? Here's a good way of looking at it. How many times have you had an unlucky or mental breakdown / loss streak?
Oh, God.
Okay, so stop right there. Stop right there, right? that answers the question. So actually what we talked about is that we put the really bad loss streak into like a different box, but actually it's not. We've done this a million times.
Yeah.
And we've dug our way out, and it wasn't really that bad. It was fine. I've done the same thing. Whenever I would learn a new character, the flow of how I would learn a new character, like whether it was Venture or reworked Farah, Sombra, whatever, is I'd always start well. Then I'd hit a really bad streak, and I'd have about a 20% win rate over a couple of days. And then it'd click, and then I'd win literally 70% of my games. This is over like
Yeah.
10 or 11 hours. So that's really how it would go.
Yeah, I've had that happen before where like I'll go 19-1,
Yep.
lose 19 games, win one, and then out of nowhere, I'll win like 8 games in a row. And it's this weird thing. I don't know. I'm a big
It's
numbers guy, so I look at my like win-loss percentage a lot, and I know I shouldn't be. But I'm like, how is it that I have a 58, 57 on Soldier in May, and I'm lower than, like how is that not going up? And it's obviously because I play, every once in a while you swap to another character, you play some other stuff, and that's where those.
Well, the other thing too as well is like that there's no
Yeah.
guarantee that all of the lobbies you're going to be equally favored to win.
Yeah,
There's lobbies that
exactly.
you might have been expected to win just because they were not able to find a perfectly balanced lobby.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's no surprise. It's why we have the expected and unexpected modifiers, is to reward you for games where you had a slight SR disadvantage and vice versa.
Yeah.
What ends up happening?
Uh-huh.
Jump in here. What ends up happening is if we were to draw like the loss streak, right, is it starts to drop down as you start to get tilted and play worse. But the reality of the situation is that you're not really this bad. Like your average skill level definitely fluctuates, right? It's like this, okay? You have a bad day, you have a good day. That's how it goes. So when it happens when you get lucky or when you get mentally boomed, you hit rock bottom. And if you look at this as like, the best way to look at this is like a slingshot, all right? This is a slingshot, all right?
Yeah.
And what you've done is you've stretched the band really far to get to this point here, okay? And so what happens? It snaps right back. In fact, it might even overshoot. Now, why does it overshoot? Why did it drop in the first place? Let's say maybe a little bit of bad luck, but also you were tilted, right? You were frustrated. You really pulled it back, right? Okay, so your negative attitude is what threw it down here. What snaps it back to up here? What overshoots your skill level?
Overshoots my skill level.
How do you win so many games in a row? How do you jump to Diamond 2 or whatever after just plummeting to Diamond 4?
Is it just like a mental rebound?
Sure. Right. It's confidence, right? You're going on, all of a sudden you're believing yourself. You're not questioning your actions. And so you're making decisions quicker is the benefit of confidence. And quickness is very much rewarded in Overwatch 2, even if you're not always making the right decision. So all of a sudden, though, you hit, like, let's say, an unlucky bad game, and then we start our cycle again. Now you've tightened the band. You're pulling the band back down again until it can no longer hit the bottom. That basically what ends up happening is you end up building confidence quickly, because the reality of the situation is you don't belong in these games.
Yeah.
So you're like, wow, this game is really easy, which leads you into greater confidence, which then leads you to overshoot again, and then the cycle repeats.
I see. Okay, and then you go a little bit further up because of
right, and then you lose
get
confidence because you're like, man, I suck at this game. But the reality is that you're overshot your skill level because you're confident. And of course, you're going to feel a little bit out of place.
Yeah,
it's inevitable.
And now it kind of makes sense, because sometimes I'll play a game where I'm like at that top end and I'll win, and I didn't play very well, and I'm like, dang, do I even belong here? I feel like I got carried.
And the answer is you probably don't. One of the good coaches that I've always worked with in iOS, he's retired now. He used to always say your real rank is the rank that if somebody was to offer you $500 and ask you to boost them, that's your real rank.
Okay.
And what rank are you rank are you confident that, like, I'll get there, I'm going to get there, like, it probably maybe Diamond 4, Diamond 3 with you, right? So that's your real rank, and that's probably where you are. Now, obviously, day to day, that's going to fluctuate. And the other thing that keep in mind as well is that fluctuations, even ignoring your inconsistency and your cycle of confidence and lack of confidence, there's just RNG, right? If you flip a coin, I did a video with this a while ago where I flipped a coin 12, 13 times. It was a YouTube short made like 2 years ago. And it came up tails 10 out of the 12 times. The first take. I just wanted to prove something, right? The reality is that probability in small doses is a lot less even than people think it is.
Yeah.
So if you play even 10, 15, 20 games, you might have teammates that are just having bad days in 15 out of those 20 games.
Yeah.
Or 16, right? It's not unheard of. That's actually to be expected, is to not have 10-10 split.
Yeah.
That would be a surprise if you got a perfect 10-10 split, right? So that's kind of, and the problem is that we always take that information and we run with it, and we let our brain try to find answers, and when the simple answers is just it's just luck. Bad things happen. Sometimes there isn't any meaning to it.
Yeah, sometimes it feels frustrating. It's like I need 5 heads in a row, five
Yep.
players all locked in,
Yep.
because let's say I do bad one game and we lose, and it's definitely my fault we lost. Then
Yeah.
the very next game, I pop off and do well, and I look at my DPS and they're having the same bad day as me, and then it's like, dang, I would have rebounded had that not happened. And it's like
Right,
so
right.
frustrating.
It feels outside of your control, and that's always what's
Yeah.
frustrating. So ignoring this hideous die that I just drew here, let's actually change this
Uh,
up a little bit here.
yeah.
Okay, let's extend this there. That's not much better. Okay. Anyway, the way I like to look at this is if you were actually, what would it be? I think it's 1, 2, 3, and then it would be. I don't even remember what.
It
How can
adds
I
up
not
to
remember what?
7.
It's 1, 2. Yeah, it adds up to 7. I remember that, but yeah. Okay, let's just roll with this. All right.
Yeah.
So we got a 1 and there's a 6 in the bottom. Let's say your job was to roll a 6 every single time that you roll a dice.
Yeah.
What would you do? You'd put a little red sticker here, and another little red sticker here, and another little red sticker here, and another little red sticker here. Why? Because it weights the die just a tiny bit, right? But it weights the die. So you're more likely to, instead of coming up 6 like 16.7% of the time, you're going to come up 6 like 18% of the time, just because there's a little bit more weight on the one side, right? So the opposite side is going to come up 6. So that's really what improvement is that you weight your die, you increase your odds of having the teammates that you demand, the teammates that you need, by being a better player yourself.
Yeah.
Because the question,
I've heard this before. Like, someone was complaining. I was like some Flats video, and he was like, "Yeah, you might have, right? The whole point of you ranking up is that you are adding more value, slightly more value in every game that you're in." And that
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. The problem is that people will look at like a grandmaster smurfing in plat and be like, that needs to be me. But the reality is that no, it's not you, right?
Yeah.
What the grandmaster did is they literally just stuck a magnet on the bottom of their 1, right? Like they literally, almost impossible for them to not roll a 6 because they're so good. But you can't snap your fingers and be that good. But what you can do is you can develop skills slowly like this, right? The little stickers here. You can develop those skills slowly, and that's ultimately what improving is. So it's like, it's what do I need to do to get those 54 and 55%? And the funny thing is even if you are improving, then you will still have times where you roll a 1 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So it's, or even more. So you have to kind of learn to approach learning as an up and down. And when you were talking about like just move on, it's part of the process, right? When I said, how would you coach yourself do that? This is again a reminder that the loss streaks are also part of the process.
Yeah.
Because you have done those things many times and you've been just fine. You're not bronze, silver, gold, or plat. You're fine. Eventually, you're going to hit that floor and rebound right back up again. Your goal is to, in general, make these floors a little higher.
Yeah.
Don't let you stretch yourself so far. It's not because, you're going to drop to really low ranks if you don't fix this problem. It's going to be more about, it's just wasted time.
Yeah, and that I guess that's kind of what frustrates me is that and I know that it's a process and it takes a while. I want it fast. I mean, everyone wants it fast.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The irony that people that want it faster often generally fumble the bag. There's a very careful balance between being motivated enough to put the work in and wanting the end game, the end result so badly that you fumble the bag. It's just like juggling, right? If you had to walk from the start line to the finish line juggling balls, if you were trying to get there quicker than everybody else without pushing yourself beyond your capability to juggle, you're going to drop the balls.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to start all over again. Just like the egg carrying contest. What's the best optimal speed that you could push yourself in without overwhelming yourself and ended up fumbling the eggs and then wasting all of these games? Like, I'm thinking about how many hours have you wasted down here? Not just not learning, but not practicing anything. That's the goal. Every game needs to be a practice, whether it's a win or a loss. If you're on a loss streak, get something out of it.
Yeah, I feel like, so when I first started grinding ranked and I hit diamond, I was ult tracking and paying attention to comps. Every time we wipe, I'd look to see if they swap, all that. And I've just kind of stopped doing that and more just been playing the game, thinking way more about myself and where I'm at and what I'm doing, and less of the whole picture because I'm like,
Okay.
if I just focus on myself and play my role to the best of my ability, and everyone else does the same, I'll eventually climb. But I know that I need to be doing a little bit more than just that.
And then the key thing is just what do you need to be doing, right? And that's what
Yeah,
we're here to find
exactly.
out. And that's
Yeah,
what we're here to find out. Okay. Any questions with any of this?
not no.
Okay. I encourage you to be just patient as best as you can and try to not be don't let yourself get upset over any of those drops and treat every game as an opportunity to learn and to improve. Obviously easier said than done, and really you have to train yourself to approach those things because you have to realize that like at some point I'm going to be a smart enough guy that when this thing starts to happen again, I'm not going to be surprised and upset as much. I'm not saying be totally stoic about it, right? Maybe not the most realistic goal, but it's happened before. How many loss streaks have you had? At some point, you're going to have to stop being surprised at the inevitable.
Yeah.
At some point. Right? I have a good understanding of when to give and take space, but my micro play suffers a lot. I find myself out of position, not getting enough value while I'm alive, and dying way too much. Any points to elaborate on there?
Yeah, I feel like on certain maps, like the movement, the rotations, and things like that mid fight, I feel like I struggle with. Like when I go and take an off angle, I'll go and take it, and then I usually just die. Or I'm in a bad off angle and I'm not getting enough value by doing enough damage or getting kills. Um, I feel like I do a lot of running from an off angle back to main or from main to an off angle more than I am actually shooting and getting value.
Okay.
So I usually just default to sticking with the team, outputting as much damage as I can, and yeah.
Okay. Now, do you have any questions before we get into the gameplay? Because I think that I'd like to address that point specifically in the
Uh-huh.
review.
I don't think so at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have a code that demonstrates what you just spoke about? I think that would be
I
useful.
sh I believe I do. So, a map I really struggle on is Numbani,
Mm-hmm.
and it is, I believe, both soldier and a gameplay.
Excellent.
So we'll see a little bit of both. Um, Here, how do I? Oh, share, copy, and then I'll post it in Discord. There you go.
And I restarted stream, so if you want to click on my profile picture in the top
Yes.
of the call, yeah. It's a little bit awkward when you restart stream. You have to like click around at the top.
Yeah. Right. I think I'm in it. Yeah.
Ready for battle.
Lovely. So you're in?
I don't.
So see where my profile picture is at the top of the Discord call? Click on that, and then you'll be able to click over to my sharing my screen.
At the top of the disc. I believe I'm in it. I just see your face though. And
Okay, let me try this.
background.
Let me try reconnecting 1 second. All right, try now.
There we
How
go.
about there you go?
Yeah.
All right, lovely. So I'm seeing some May, Soldier,
Yeah, I just see your
and some
face.
Bastion, which we may or may not skip.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about this code. Why this code? How recent was this? Why you select this for the review?
It was 6 days ago. I selected it because Numbani bad map, for me, and I just felt like I didn't do enough.
Okay, why is it
my
a bad map for
team.
you?
I can't figure it out. I don't know where to stand. I feel awkward on it. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still not seeing the stream.
I'm gonna have you leave the call and rejoin. That might be the solution.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, yeah, now I see it.
Okay, finish your thoughts. So this was Numbani, tough map. Anything else that, obviously you're playing both characters, which is nice, but is there anything else that comes to mind?
Yeah, like I said, I just feel awkward, don't know where to stand. I feel like I didn't get enough value. I feel like I was the reason I lost this game. So that was why I picked it.
Sure.
The Bastion at the end was like during overtime, and it actually almost saved us, but otherwise
Gotcha.
I didn't pick Bastion.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Let's take a look here. So, any questions before we get started?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So, priorities of soldier. What is the character good at? Is there anything you've been recently practicing or trying to improve at?
Particularly on soldier, not really. I just warm up every day on soldier. I try to secure kills on him instead of just doing like a lot of damage. So I do Vaxta every day before I play.
How long?
So I do like the aim train challenge. I
Mm-hmm.
go until
Mm-hmm.
I hit level 15, so usually like, 5-10 minutes ish.
Perfect. Okay. So what makes Soldier unique to other DPS heroes?
A little bit of movement, like in terms of being able to run away. Good at taking off angles, a little bit more self-sufficient with the heal pad.
Sure. One of your skills as a player is going to be your ability to problem solve situations that apparently don't have any easy solution. How has this fight or engagement felt from your end?
I felt like there wasn't a whole lot I could do because there was like a Junkrat, and I knew that if I tried to peek that I would just get one shot. So I was trying to have the tank go through first, and once the tank got through, then I was gonna start taking the off angle.
Sure.
Then they had or I thought they had a Widow, so I was. Oh yeah, they do have a Widow.
They do have a Widow.
Kind of playing pretty careful up there, trying not to get picked off.
Now, when you say you let your tank take an off angle, what do you mean by that? Like,
well, I meant like just pushing in first, and then I take the off angle.
from where? Where would the off angle be?
From up here, trying to, because I know that the support likes to sit on the other side and kind of duck into that room. Yeah, over there. So I was gonna try to pressure them out so that the other people wouldn't have any healing, and then.
So you're describing like where you would get value at from here, but you're not describing at what you mean by taking the off angle, and that's kind of what I'm digging for.
I gotcha. Okay, yeah.
So what do you mean off angle from here? To let the tank go in first, and then you take the off angle. What would
I guess it's not really an off angle because I'm just with everyone else.
Right.
So.
You're getting value out of the cardiac overdrive, though, right? So you got a little bit of that life still. Do you feel your impact here is what mattered here? Do you feel that you're contributing here?
No.
Okay.
At the moment, no. And then right about here is where I start to try to get this pick on the Ana, but I don't know where my team went, so I'm trying to kind of back off.
Well, they're dead.
Yeah.
Right, so they're dead.
So I'm trying to stay alive.
But this feels scary.
Yeah.
Feels like it's so easy for you to get spammed out, and now like again, like you have the same problem there. Like that was a great shot there. Let's actually take a look at this. So you hit the helix, and then great tracking there, but like, oh my goodness gracious, that guy almost killed both of you guys instantly.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you're using your kit comparatively to the rest of DPS cast effectively?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Why not? Why not? Well, why not? Because you've had pretty good helix value. Your heal station value has also been pretty good. So are you sure? And if so, elaborate.
The main reason why is because I just feel like I should be being more annoying to the enemy team.
Why? Why do you feel that way? Like, why is that such a priority?
I don't know, because whenever I'm playing against a soldier and he's, in the back line or like on the off angle shooting me, and I have to keep turning around to make him go away, I feel like I don't do that enough.
Why not?
I guess I don't know. It's tough. I'm afraid of racking up a lot of deaths. I talk a lot, like I'm really vocal in voice chat, and I feel like if I'm not doing well, then I should just mute and not talk anymore. Like, so I'm always just trying to, like, I don't know, not get flamed.
So you're pursuing a risk averse playstyle because you want to be able to communicate, and you feel that if you go for something maybe perceived as more high risk, high reward, you're opening yourself up to criticism.
Well, and then people don't see your screen. They don't know what the situation was when I'm trying to make a play, take an off angle, and I die. And then they're like, "Oh, my soldier's dead again." And it's
so
like,
what you're
well,
doing now is obvious, and so therefore you're leaning into that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's tough.
Yeah.
What? That's tough. Why is that tough? Like let's go back here. Like let's not make any assumptions here. What would you do differently if you were voice muted, focusing on what's going? If I'm paying you $1,000, if you
Yeah.
can win, if you can cap this first point. How are you going to
Uh-huh.
cap this first point?
I would probably swing a lot wider left, not go with my team. Swing all the way around here, and then start shooting the support down there. Get the people up top to turn around so that my team can push out up top, take
Would
high
you be
ground.
safe here?
Mm,
Because
I
remember, safety is relative. Let's put it this way. Would you
yeah,
be as safe as where you are right now?
I would be safer. Yeah, I'm not getting spammed out by a Junkrat.
Okay. Well, you'd also create some distance between yourself and the diva, who's proven herself to be a problem as well.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, would you stay here? Would you continue to rotate?
I would be annoying there. If I can move forward, I would go up and left.
Okay. What would you see
If
here?
well, I would try to come up and around and then behind the diva, or I would try to go after the supports.
How do you think they're going to respond to what you're
Uh,
doing right now?
Sorry.
How do you think they're going to respond to where you are right now?
Oh,
Like
they're
right
gonna turn
here?
around. Yeah, they're gonna
Okay.
turn around.
Then
This
what?
is almost too far.
Then what? What's
Because
that diva going to do?
she's just gonna turn around, DM me, kill me.
Really? How's she going to kill you?
Well, I'd be isolated all by myself. I
So
guess
how would
there's
she kill
a
you?
health pack right there. Just by, well, I guess she would just fly over to me.
And then what would you do?
I would shoot her. She'd DM me, shoot
You'd
rockets at me.
you would shoot her.
I'd probably helix her while she's flying at me.
Uh-huh.
Because not DMing to get the armor down. That's
What's the cooldown in the bottom right next to your heal station?
bottom right next to my helix
Okay, and then the one on the other side.
sprint.
Okay. So let's go back and I'm
Yeah.
using some mind wipe training here. Okay, I'm gonna brain
Okay.
wipe you. Okay. What is the diva gonna do when she flies at you again? What are you gonna do?
Oh, I'm just gonna sprint away.
Where?
I would probably just sprint left
Okay.
and just run away.
Okay. Then
'Cause-
what?
Grab a health pack. I'd probably go down all the way around and just be annoying over here as well.
Sure. You could even go back if you've heard that the diva left because she can't stay.
Yeah.
Because what's gonna happen the second the diva and Junkrat is the Junkrat's gonna leave the high ground
Uh-huh.
and the diva's gonna fly after you.
Yeah.
And what is your team going to do?
They're gonna I just created a bunch of space. They're gonna move in.
They're gonna walk out. There's no choke spam anymore. They're
Yeah,
gone. It's
yeah.
gone. And you're still in a position to continue to do value, and you're proving no risk because last I checked, Diva doesn't fly at 700,000 miles per hour. In fact, she's actually
Yeah.
very slow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know. Now, are you confident, $1,000 on the line, that that's going to provide more value, more consistent value than what you did here?
More consistent value? I think so.
I think so too. So again, we have to unpackage though why you aren't doing, which you have taken a little bit of time to analyze, but you did figure it out. Why haven't you done this? And you described the problem. You don't want to be going for something that is not less obviously valuable, even if it's going to win me more games. So I understand that, and frankly, I don't have like a quick fix for you besides muting voice here or whatever. The question you have to ask yourself: do you want to rank up, or do you want to not have people yell at you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really. I don't know. I don't care that someone yells at me. It's more of when they do. I guess I do care because then I just stop playing. Well, I stop caring.
So you do
much.
care.
I'm like, yeah,
Right.
I do.
We're,
Care.
we all like to think that we're like we really don't care, but we do.
No,
We do.
yeah.
I
'Cause
do.
It's like I feel like I'm ruining their game. I'm the one guy on the team, the 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5 who isn't providing enough value, and that's the reason we lost.
You ever raised kids before or ever worked with children before?
No.
Okay. One of the fundamentals of kids is that kids don't know what they need.
Yeah.
That's just normal, right? Like there comes a certain point in time where you almost treat very, very young children almost like animals. Not like in the same disrespect, but you give them love and care like an animal that you care for, but you don't reason with very, very young children. You need to develop their understanding first, right? You need to be consistent and firm and not mean or rude, but strict. This is what's best for you. And I know that you're going to cry and whine because you think this is what you want, but it's not really what you need. And then you develop their system of ethics and quality, and then you start to be able to reason with the child as they mature and grow and so on. But one of the things that you don't do is when the kid cries, you don't give it what it wants. That's not, especially when the kid's like 1 or 2 years old, because that's not an effect. We don't want to train that to be an effective method of communication because it has really bad ramifications long term.
Yeah.
So you're saying, I don't want to do what's best for my teammates to win because they might cry. It's kind of what you're telling me.
Yeah, that's
You're literally the parent that's handing the 3-year-old, the one that's kicking and screaming and throwing a tantrum in Target or Walmart. You're handing them the Lego set and saying, "No, shut up." Like, you're reinforcing that behavior and screwing yourself over because you're scared of the outburst.
Wow. Yeah, putting into that perspective really. Okay. Yeah.
And I understand it, right? Because it's hard. Like, they're not actually children; they are adults. But adults have childlike tendencies. You and I both do that, right? Like, we get annoyed when we don't have our own way. But it's in our best interest. It's in their best interest for me to play exactly the best that I can do. And so you need to provide that value. And right now, you're not providing that value.
That makes a lot of sense.
So you were a bad parent. You're literally you're screwing over your teammates just so that they don't yell at you.
Yeah.
That's the selfish approach.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
100%.
So I think one of the best metrics that you can always do for yourself is to ask yourself, what does my character provide that is unique to other characters? And then try to leverage that, right? I see this all the time with, like, you know, Baptiste's or Kiriko's or Lucio's heal botting. And I ask him, like, what do you provide right now that another support can't provide better? And like, well, I'm scared to leave my team. Well, it's like, well, then why are you playing this character? Yeah. You need to do what your character does best. Otherwise, your team will not be able to win. And right now, outside of securing a kill with Helix and hitting some nice shots, you have provided nothing that another character would not have done 10 times better. You would have been better playing Junkrat yourself on attack, doing what you have done, than what you've done. Nice job. Any questions so far?
No. Yeah. It's making a lot of sense.
Good. So your constant question is, where do I need to be to maximize my pressure and minimize my risk? I'm not saying go for always high risk, high reward. Many angles are low risk, low reward. In fact, if we go back and look at this here, really getting here, once you got past the Widowmaker, was pretty low risk. Yeah. In fact, it's a lot safer than really anywhere else on the map to be, because you're equal distance from the Junkrat, from the Diva. Widow can't see you. It's perfect, right? In fact, this is what I would call a low risk, low reward flank. Whereas crouching, going for the assassination here, very high risk, high reward. Probably not worth the risk at that point. So let's not confuse angles with risk, because a lot of times it's actually the least risky thing that you can do. By the way, what you're doing now is totally fine. Somebody has to push, right? So. Okay, we'll just zoom through until we do something interesting. Because it's like, for example, like right now, right? As soon as we've approached this fight here, maybe we're waiting on our Ashe to kind of regroup here. But we need to start problem solving this. Yeah. Every single Overwatch game, and this is what appeals to you, right? You talked about this even with Apex. It's even with Soldier, actually, especially with Soldier. What's the solution to this problem?
We gotta go and pressure that team or those people off of high ground.
Right. Well, you just need to pressure something, right? You need to either abuse the fact that they can't support their tank, or the fact that Junkrat is by himself, or that abuse. So there are multiple solutions to this problem.
Yeah.
Problem solved. What do you think?
I mean, the Junkrat's super isolated. We should just swing that Junkrat and.
What should you do? What should you do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I remember this very specifically. I was afraid of getting too close to Junkrat. I'm not trying to get one shot.
I agree. Solve the problem. Remember, look at what makes your character unique and leverage that.
I would cut way far right with my tank, and then when the Junkrat needs to leave, coming out either of those two doors, and we'll be able to kill him because there's not really anywhere else for him to go.
Now what? So you've pressured him out. He ducks inside here. Now you can no longer see him. Now you're stuck here. Now what? It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, now I'm just like sitting there.
What makes your character unique? Is that the end of the story?
So
run
no,
where?
I think I would probably try to go up the stairs on the right.
Okay.
The high ground players, and maybe hit a Helix on one of them.
Sneaky, right? Yeah. Sneaky, because you got to get close. Not something that you're super comfortable with, but yeah, high risk, high reward. I understand. Understand. You ready for another option here too?
Yeah.
If you could do it quickly, again, you have sprint. You should have done this 5 seconds ago, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's soldiers can do this. The
Yeah.
other hits can't do that. It would take way too long,
Uh-huh.
but you can. But you can. And then you kill
I
the
just need to be
soldier,
more creative
and
with
then
Soldier.
you have 100%.
Yeah.
100%. This is what makes soldier players elite, right? Even though at the pro level, like we're talking about, this isn't just ranked stuff. The best soldier that I ever coached was Sparker in the Overwatch League, and he's still playing professional Overwatch. And he was so smart, so creative with how he positioned and approached each fight. He would often dumpster soldiers that even had better aim because he was always in the better position. He always knew the solution to the fight. He always anticipated and predicted, and he's just a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
And right now, you are think that you're playing safe, but you're not. You see that?
No,
You
I'm
see that
really
bullet?
not. I'm 100% ego challenging a
Yeah, with a shield,
Widowmaker.
with a shield,
Yeah.
with a shield, right? So your chances of value are much lower. Your chances of death are much higher, and this is what we like to call the worst thing that you can do because it is a low value, high risk play. Even what you're doing right now is low value, high risk.
Yeah, I'm just shooting at
Pincered from both sides, shooting at a Sigma at point blank range, not distracting him, and it's like you are predictably, and this is where I would imagine that you are maybe a little bit stronger mechanically than your rank would say, because that's the only thing that you could got going for you. You ever heard of Metro, the soldier player, the streamer?
Yeah.
Terrible positioning. Really terrible.
All aim, no brain.
I really appreciate. I mean, he's raided me a few times. He's jumped in pugs one time, but the guy cannot position to save his life. It lacks total creativity, but his mechanics are really, really quite good. And it's this kind of stuff that he capitalizes on. And thankfully, Soldier has just enough poke range that you could leverage. You could do this, right? Like you could sit more passively and control space, but you have to be a smart player. And right now, this is insanity.
Yes.
In
I
fact,
feel like this is part of the May in me, like.
Oh, you're gonna love our May review. You're gonna love our
yeah.
May review because you're only half right.
Yeah, yeah.
I climbed the May, like Masters 2, flank May,
Oh, okay, nice.
and a poke meta,
Yeah.
and because one of the things that makes May unique is that she has, as you said, self-sustain.
Uh-huh.
So that opens up a lot of options about your self-sufficiency. I mean, at this point in time, let's problem solve again. With what you know, what do you do?
I would sprint. I think I want to sprint way left.
Okay, why?
I feel like they wouldn't expect that. I feel like they would expect someone to go up to the high ground, maybe.
Sure.
Come up behind them, take someone out. There's a health pack over there. I got heal pad.
Yeah. I want to showcase as well that like when we're talking about these angles, we're not talking about like all these high risk, high reward assassinations. You could sit here, your feet planted on the shirt rack here, and just shoot tank because there's nowhere for him to hide now. He can't hide from main. He can't hide from left. Maybe you could play just outside his poke range, right? And just burn him. So he's got to back up.
Yeah.
And so then he backs up. Now you deepen your angle and you just keep playing patty cake with him. Right? If this Tracer was, heck, you could even duel the Tracer. If you feel that she doesn't have recall and you've got Helix, go get her, kill her. Or then take that position and rotate to high ground. Go for more of a high risk flank play, right?
Yeah.
The opportunities are, there's almost always 2 opportunities, sometimes 3, sometimes 4.
Yeah.
Depending on the map. And one of your problems when you're like, I struggle with X map, is that maybe the map doesn't give you those angles that you need.
Obvious.
Right. It's not as obvious. Like Numbani, first point, is pretty limited with what you can do. I think the strategy that you came up with was good, but that's about the only play you can make.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, let's keep going here. We're problem solving. So we recognize this choke feels awful, and we're problem solving. Now, it's Tracer, so it's scary, but it's possible.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think the way that you approach the Tracer micro is you either Helix immediately if you have her caught off guard, or you try to like shoot melee, something like that, to kind of bait her first blink and then land the Helix. I need a Helix ASAP. Either bait the blink then Helix, or Helix immediately if she's caught you off guard, or you caught her off guard. Excuse me. If you hit the Helix, she's in terrible trouble. Terrible trouble. The goal is to get that recall out as quickly as you possibly can, and then from there, you can just chill. Heal station, she can't do anything.
Yeah, I knew that heal pad was there, so I'm very cautious with tracers around like health packs.
Yes.
Because I know they'll just blink into it, they'll beat me to it. There's nothing I can do.
And that's fine. And that's okay. That's okay. But certainly use your Helix as quickly as you possibly can. Force those cooldowns, and then from there, adjust exactly what you do. Because the problem is that now you're like she plays it really poorly mechanically. I'm not gonna. This looks like me on Tracer.
You should have killed me. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's something that you want to try to force the recall sooner rather than later. Okay, so let's move on. I want to talk about Mei. Because I think that we have a guideline of how you should be approaching things with Soldier. I want you to go and experiment with those things. How much Mei do we play? Looks like we play all the way through.
I think Mei's next round, last point.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. So why do you swap to Mei? I like the swap, but why do you swap to Mei?
I swap Mei because I know that the last point is a brawl point. Like it's
what
way
does that
better
mean?
with brawl comps. Just because it's more close range, there's not as much like I don't know. That's just what I've been told.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Think about it objectively. Has it felt good playing Mei here?
Yeah, I've had it feel good playing Mei here before. Yeah.
Why did Soldier feel bad in first point in Numbani?
I just feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I feel like I'm just so out in the open, standing there.
Sure. Our again, we talked about it, right? Like your solution was probably the only solution available, really, right? So the map was hostile to what Soldier likes to do. Mei likes taking angles and all that kind of stuff, but she's a short to medium range character, so a very wide open map with a lot of verticality that she cannot reach with wall. A lot of her value plummets because it's just not very friendly to what makes her unique. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. This map, there's a lot of walls. The little verticality that you have with here and with here, you can wall. You can even wall yourself up to here, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do with wall here, and it plays effectively to your range. That's it.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to wall and push tank if you'd like to.
Yeah.
But also what makes Mei unique is, as we said earlier, is you're an excellent duelist. You have extra HP. You have the ability to shoot and poke and prod, and you have a full heal. And you have wall that is actually relatively flexible. You can wall tank, but you don't have to. You could use a wall to split backline. You could use a wall to wall off a cooldown. You could use wall to take high ground, and so on. Now, what I can tell you here is that you're probably going to get a nice wall on tank, and that's going to be great here. But let's say the map is less conducive for walling tank, or like let's say that the tank is very hard to wall. Let's say they're running a dive tank. How would you play Mei in this situation? Let's say they're on Winston right now. What would you do with your wall?
What I usually try to do when I'm playing a dive tank is I try to wall off the supports, break their line of sight to the tank so that when we do damage, they're not, the Onyx are just shooting the tank, dumping heals into them.
Sure. Here's another question. What if happened if you'd walk up here, wall yourself up to here, hard flank all the way around behind, drop to here, and sit in the backline and shoot backline?
That's crazy. I don't think I ever would have came up with that. That's like...
And what circumstances would that be appropriate? Let's start with one step at a time. Probably not necessary to do something like that. But
I feel like the whole team would just turn around and kill me. I mean, I have the self-sustained, but...
So when would you go for a play like that? Key term being when.
When they... I don't even know when I would do that. Like, that's so crazy to me. That's so...
So you're thinking, like, strategic, right? Like, okay, like, what circumstances? How about we look at
Bob there? Like, there's literally a Bob there to help me out. I could do that. We're all going to have to back up anyways.
So you're saying that, like, off of some action of my team, some commitment, I will then use that timing.
Yeah.
It's a good rule for Soldier, too. It's good rule for Soldier too. Waiting for a commitment. Because when you open up the world of off-angling, it is no longer easy for you to synchronize your pressure with your team, but it becomes no less important. So it's a good reminder, whatever creativity, angles, things crazy, foolish thing that you do, that you synchronize your pressure well. So if you were to drop here with Soldier or with Mei, timing matters.
Yeah.
Timing matters very much. Make it impossible for them to focus you without paying a terrible cost on the front line.
Okay.
And this is where I'm going to open things up for you. You drop, you shoot, Zenyatta looks at you, Ana looks at you, you wall right here. Just wall yourself off. So they can't look at you anymore. Then they're like, okay, well, crap. Then you drop wall, and then you resume shooting. And then you duck into the biddy, and you resume shooting, and they chase you, and then and then you grab any health back, and then you ice block, and then you wall yourself. You get what I'm saying. So I don't think it's 100% necessary. Your job with wall is to pull attention, force a resource split, or something along those lines, but something to consider.
I hit a fat wall right here, and I'm just frustrated.
Who should you be walling right now? Where should you be walling right now? I've got a hot take.
Okay. You have a hot take for the wall?
What's the best split that you can create right now?
Between the... I'm going to say the obvious answer. I'm going to wall off the tank.
But that's wrong. But that's wrong.
Yeah.
I want you to look carefully. What's the best split that you could create right now?
Best split? I guess I could go up top.
You ready for this?
Uh-huh.
Wall in front of the Sigma.
In front of the Sigma?
Yes. You ready for this?
Oh, I see. So that it secures the kill on the...
Then go chase the Echo. Because she cannot get away.
Yeah.
This is a split. You see it? It's not as obvious. Because the problem is you could wall the Sigma and push the Sigma, but you may leave your brig to die if you do that. And the problem here is also that you've landed a wall, but it's a little too far, a little too open, and also after your Rhino's already bailed. Now, it was a good wall. It was a good wall, right? Something to consider.
Just bad timing around it. And
I wouldn't even say it was a bad wall. Let's not say that there was. Let's not sit there and gripe about like, oh, it was a bad time. It was a little far, right? And there was a better wall on the Echo. That's it. That's it. But it still did the job and force a trance. It's good. But you see, this Echo is torching you guys.
Yeah.
Watch this. Why? Because who has an angle right now?
The Echo.
The Echo. Right. Whereas you guys, we could literally draw a nice little tight little red circle and get every single member of your team in. Just because you're running a quote unquote brawl comp doesn't mean that you cannot take off angles and cannot take space. Because you're gonna pop so many ults here, and it is nothing's gonna die.
I'm trying so hard to get my ult here.
Yeah, I understand. So you hit the wall in main. You didn't feed. You hit some shots. You ice blocked when you needed to. What would have won this fight?
Shoot, if we killed that Echo, we would have never even had the fight.
Okay, so let's say you don't kill the Echo.
Yeah.
Then what?
What would have won it?
Wait a second. Oh, it's just a big diva bomb. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say you don't kill the Echo. You fail the kill on the Echo. Now what? What is your frontline presence like at this point in time?
Well, I have no frontline presence.
So then where should you go?
I should have gone around to the right, taken an angle. Or on high ground, even. High ground would be huge. Force them to turn around.
You see this?
Yep.
Okay, something to consider. Once your frontline presence is diminished through wall, even if that's the best play, you then really have no motivation to maintain pressure here, especially considering that you've lost your Rhine. Because look, what's the problem with this wall here? Nothing, really. Like, really, it's a good wall, right? Look. It's a nice little split there. You're disengaging, right? You even popped rally, but the problem is it's just not enough.
Yeah.
There's no pincer. There's no distraction. You have no tank, right? So I want you to be attentive to that. I want you to experiment more, like we did with the soldier, on can I get a wall main? What's a good split? Think a little bit outside the box, and when you don't have wall, open up your positioning options a little bit.
Yeah.
Open up your positioning options a little bit. Okay. Let's take some notes. I know that was a more open-ended review with May than I think you would like, but I want you to experiment with it more. And I want you to keep me updated. And by the way, there are more May reviews on Spylo 2 as well that you could check out. I go more in detail on that. But obviously, if any questions come up, just message me. But in the interest of time, let's take some notes in Soldier 76. What needs to be practiced? What are some goals?
More creative off angles.
More creative off angles. But why were you not taking them in the first place? Remember?
Can't be afraid to, right? I know what's best. I know what the best option is. I need to just take it. And even though that there might be a little bit more risk involved, it's the proper like it's the right thing to do. Even though my team might be upset with it, I know that it's the right thing to do, and I have, yeah.
Social risk, right?
Mm.
But it needs to be done. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do it. You look at this fight, it's like if you don't do it, then it's not going to work. Somebody has to do it. Somebody's going to have to do it. Okay. What else? One of the things we brought up with Soldier was when you open up your creativity, you're going to be more likely to slip into being a bad team player because you're going to screw up your timing because you're not going to be visual. You're not going to be able to see immediately when and where and what your team is doing. So how can you help fight that to balance things up?
Oh.
You take an angle. What should you do before you start popping off?
Just communicate.
That's one way. Communicate. What else? You can communicate with your eyes.
Yeah, just being aware of where my teammates are, kind of, obviously take a look around, see what they're doing, and try to take advantage of,
Exactly.
their positioning.
Exactly. In fact, the best thing that you could possibly do is to check your team's position before you take action. I had a very funny VOD review not too long ago of an Ashe player in voice with a ball player. And their timing while communicating with each other was terrible because neither player looked at the other person. All they did was tell them when I'm going in. But it didn't matter. You didn't, like, she's in spawn, jackass. Like, or wait, like, why are you rotating for an angle, Ashe, when your ball is going in? You need to go now.
Yeah.
So you can communicate all you want until you look. Looking matters. Looking matters more than talking.
Yeah.
Okay. May. What do you got? Much more vague, but we could have some very concrete goals of like at least what we want to try. What do we want to learn?
Looking at creating or taking more off angles instead of just being the frontline presence. Looking for ways to split the offense.
Okay.
With
being more creative with how we split the front line with no immediate answer available. Because let's be honest, right? Like I need to split people with May. Gee, okay. It's almost as if you have known that for like 2 years, right? That's not exactly like new information.
Yeah.
It's how you can do that has probably opened up some options. And that's going to be your skill level with that cooldown. Okay. Taking more off angles. Let's talk about why that's attractive. Remember, you have more HP.
Yep.
More sustain.
Yep.
Flexible range. That's a big one, right? Yep. Very similar to Soldier, right? You could function in closer ranges. You can function in longer ranges. It's not optimal, but you could do it, right? And that's what makes May unique. And that's mostly it. Same rules apply with Soldier, though. Let's put that as well. Timing rules also apply with May if you get silly with angles.
Yeah.
There are some situations in which angles may feel a little bit better, may feel a little bit worse. I want you to experiment and find out for yourself.
Gotcha.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. I feel like it's been identified. I just need to take more action, be less passive, and yeah.
I also want you to remember what we talked about at the start of the review, because I think that's going to be the most important, is recognizing, accepting those slumps as being a necessary part of the process and something that you've dealt with a million times before and walked through with no problem.
Yeah.
You've been here before.
Yep.
So make the process productive, because even during the slumps are only the SR. The slumps should not be the practice quality. There should be no slump in practice quality unless you just didn't sleep that well. And in that case, I would probably recommend cutting down on the quantity of training that day.
Okay.
And just make it a shorter day. And you can play if you want to, but just play more casually and get like an hour or whatever. Okay. No questions?
I don't think so. I really, I was able to take a lot from this. So
Good. Be patient, be consistent, and I look forward to hearing about your progress.